In the meantime, I will get started. Hello, Twin. Welcome to the stream. Sign will be joining me very shortly after she has her ice cream. Is it the same as last time, Sign? I miss ice cream. If only I wasn't lactose intolerant. Makes me very sad. I feel like out of all the things in the world for me to get, why did it have to be that? Out of all the ailments, you know? That sucks. Cornet this time? Never heard of it. Familiar. Though before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply, or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away to begin his work on the silverwares. Okay, let's see. After the argument at the park, Ashton took his friends someplace where they could rest. G welcomed them to his pub without question. While the others were sleeping, the detective and the bartender had a little chat about the past and what had changed over the years. Honestly, cornet could be a term in English that I just don't know. But sure, look it up. And describe to me what it is. What is the flavor? Cone. Oh, okay. What are the flavors of your cone? So actually, during this week, I've been listening to Coco's LP of this game. So right now, I'm actually on Marianne's chapter again. And it's interesting that I completely forgot we had this whole section where Marianne was at this bar and Ash was here and Marianne was very, very drunk. So it was really funny to rewatch that. I was like, oh, I completely forgot about that. So yes, Marianne and Ash have met before, and we have seen G before, and it was just a very interesting, funny interaction. And I was like really annoyed with Marianne because she was making fun of Ash for being short and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I was like, Marianne, you should not be starting a battle, a war against us short people, because we will use our height to our advantage and stab you in the gut. You know? We are small but mighty. Cornet is in Romanian. Okay. He'll need those too, once more of his patrons come in for lunch. Slow and easy. A sharp contrast with the strained air we've been wading through these past weeks. A fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So when it all ends with a loud shuffling of feet? I think I should have said feet. From the adjacent hallway, a sigh is all that leaves me. There's no need for me to look up to know who it is. Zack's treads alone are telling. There's always a weighted set to them, steps that are taken with a lazy cadence. Like he's always trying to make himself smaller, less conspicuous than he actually is. In a place he's unfamiliar with, he also tends to linger, stand awkwardly at the sides, as if he's all too afraid to break something. Aww. Ash is so observant of Zack. That, or he's waiting for permission of some kind. Either way, he's never been the kind to barrel headfirst into things, or forego courtesy despite appearances. Much like how Rebecca's mother Henning belies her fiery temperament, or Isabella's rare displays of maturity appears at odds with her youth. There has been a lot of those in my life, it seems, more so from the people I've grown closer to over the years. Walking contradictions we all are. It's a wonder how we ended up as friends in the first place. But maybe that's also exactly why. To some extent, there's still an understanding in there, in knowing that no matter how long you've been together, or how familiar you are with a person's habits, or how many lifetimes there might be for all of you, one can never fully know a person. That's deep, Ash. That's very deep. Sometimes it works because they merely chose to stay. Sometimes it's as simple as someone extending a hand first for an apology, regardless of every hurtful word said.
Hey, Ash?
This time I glance at him, briefly, gauging the mood. Not because reconciliation's an issue for me. Between us, it never will be. But somehow, this is another thing I'm all too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word, if this is going to end in another argument, we might as well stop as early as now. I don't think Zach is the problem here. I think Rebecca is the problem. Oh, the way that argument went. It was so uncomfortable. Ugh. There's another long pause from him, during which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his hand. In the end, he chooses to stuff both into his pockets and trains his eyes at the now empty space behind the counter. Without our notice, G has slipped back to the kitchen, leaving only the two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment. Yeah, Rebecca is problematic. Zach and Isabella are okay. I mean, I understand where Rebecca's coming from, that she's frustrated and scared and angry. And yes, technically, Isabella is to blame for bringing the letter into their lives, but it's not like she knew. It's not like it's her fault, you know? She didn't show it to them. They took it from her. But, you know, things happen. It's like, you can't hold on to something as dumb as that, especially in that moment where their lives are at risk. It's like, come on, this is not the time or place for this. She did warn them, yes, and they didn't believe her, so oh well. So I decided to be silly, and I named the stream Yo G, what up? Because G is the bartender, and I was like, why not? Remember that the letter teleported or something? Yeah, something happened with the letter. I think she thought she had destroyed it or thrown it away or something, and she ended up getting it back or something, right? I do remember she was shocked that it was in her hands, and that's how Marianne and Hannah and Luke were able to see it. So that was like a weird moment. Still, Zach trudges on, a hopeful tone slipping into his voice, simply because it's the only thing he knows to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
It's a start, at least. A stiff one, but a start. The least I can offer in return is that rare honesty.
For a few hours, yeah.
Better than nothing. Curt, brusque, not an ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zach takes it as a sign. Relief washes over him as his shoulders relax and he releases a tense breath. Soon he's closing the distance he has put between us and flops onto the chair to my right.
I think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
Aw, poor Zach. He shifts in his seat, coughs, drums his fingers on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it. No apologies. Somehow, that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known lately. Maybe not for the better, not yet. However, it's less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment. The kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where death might come knocking any time, it's these little hopes we cling to. It's these little things we wish will happen again. I'm not an optimistic person by nature. Hopeful maybe, but never optimistic. Though I want to believe there's a way we'll live through this nightmare. It's just funny how it took all of this to spur these kind of thoughts in me. I can't even remember the last time something like it has occurred to me. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me.
True. And you should apologize for that. I'm still salty. You really should.
Zach, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases. Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at. For all you know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Aww.
Well, the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash. Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea.
The mansion.
It can't be any worse than this. Maybe.
We have to go back.
What's on your mind, Ash?
There really is something about Z-Man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him things I won't normally say to the others. Unlike her, who pushes, sometimes with the same tenacity as her moods, Zach has this strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. Yeah! You should have like a buddy cop situation, like be private eyes together. Zach would be able to charm people into telling him information. Plus, he's super tall, and they would probably be like intimidated by him without knowing how much of a cinnamon roll he really is. Oftentimes, the question feels so subtle, it catches me off guard, with less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most grounded. Really, he's like the older brother I never had. No! Stop trying to frame this like they're just bros, okay? There's totally a gay subtext. I'm not blind. I hate when they try to deny the yaoi. How could you? The yaoi is there. I see it, so it's real. Yeah. The kind you can depend on when things go sour. Stop it, game. Let us ship them. Right? You can't stop my shipping. You can't stop it at all. I'm just gonna run to Archive of Our Own and start writing a fanfic of them. No. Oh, I'm sure there's plenty. I'm looking forward to when we finish this game so I can read fanfiction of this game. I wonder what kind of juicy fanfics await. Maybe not too many. I don't see this being like a super popular game. But who knows? There might be a healthy little fandom going on. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. The kind you tell things to simply because he'll listen, without forcing his own opinions on you.
We still have one more lead we haven't checked. I'm gonna look into it tonight.
It doesn't take him long to put 2 and 2 together, and his calm expression abruptly dissolves to worry the second he realizes what I meant. We've already examined the letter, read through piles of documents. There's really only one we haven't given a once-over. The mansion. course, Zach may not be the kind to push, but that doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet through the years. I mean, if anybody could get them inside the mansion without too much problem, depending on who answers the door, I mean, if Hana's there, her and Zach are buddy-buddy, so maybe we can go in that way. Or, like, if they ask me who to bring, like, it would either be that, or maybe he could use Rebecca, and if Luke opens the door, then Rebecca and Luke are buddy-buddy. So, maybe? Because if he shows up with Isabella, or he shows up alone, I don't see them getting in without a problem. Because they'll be like, why is Isabella here? She already sold us the house, you know? And for him alone, they'd be like, I don't know you. So if that comes up as like a choice, oh, that's right, Hana knows Rebecca too. So yeah, I think Rebecca might even be the best choice because she knows Hana and Luke. Hopefully, if we have a choice, then we can just do that. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet through the years.
Hold on, didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
You're an unarmed civilian, Zach.
And so?
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe. I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there.
Yeah, that's true. Luke was very, very horrible towards Zach, so, yeah. Even Zach wouldn't be a good choice, because there's always the risk that Luke is the one who answers the door and not Hana. So, yeah, Rebecca it is. Plus, Rebecca held her own against the ghost, so I think she's our best option for this. Choose your team, you know?
G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, if that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede, not from the manner he grips his knees or the rigid set to his jaw.
I'm going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something.
Okay, fine, no problem.
The morning I was there, I heard someone scream, and then there was a woman crying, and...
I mean, I am concerned about the scream he heard, and we haven't seen Hana in a long time. Like, I don't even know what's happening to her right now. I think let me see. When's the last time she was seen? Nothing there. Oof. Okay, so Saturday, October 29th is the last time Hana was mentioned in the journal. When I chose to have her kind of end things with Luke. And she said she was moving back to the penthouse, right. Then she called Rebecca and they talked, but then, oh no, and then she heard her crying from the cellar. I think there was a choice, and I think we made the correct choice by not opening the cellar door. So, maybe Hana's okay? Yeah, I think that's it. So we really don't know what else has happened. Maybe she's at the penthouse. Maybe she's okay. Hopefully.
I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, you shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
Before I can stop myself, a heavy breath escapes from my mouth. It's one of those times again, where Zach means well, but he's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets in a mood like this, he's almost as headstrong as Isabella. How and where do I even start? Oh no, it's a choice! I like to make my choices with sign. Is this a choice? No. Okay, first of all, the top one is rude as hell. Okay, at least I was about to say, I hope we don't have an option where we do pick him and an option where we're a jerk. At least both ways we are saying no thank you. Please don't come with us. Obviously, I'm sure Sign will agree that the second option's better. We wouldn't want to say the first one. I mean, our relationship... Let's see. Our relationship with Rebecca is not so great. But at least our relationship with Isabella and Zach is really high. That's good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sign will agree, so we'll just pick this one. I'd feel better if I don't have to worry about you. Yeah. There you go. Ooh, look how high it's getting. That's the bar of true love. There are only two ways this will end. I agree with him and take him with me, or I agree with him and drop the idea altogether. Neither appeals more than the other, especially when we're all desperate for answers and a way out. If all it'll take is a little more honesty to make him drop this harebrained idea, so be it.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man. Zach. Zachary, listen.
Did you have to say all his names like that? Oh, that's funny. Look, bro, man, dude, bro, come on, man. Like, oh, Ash, why? Why are you like this? That's so funny. I kind of want to listen to it again.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man. Zach. Zachary, listen.
I wish he'd said it a little faster, but that's still really funny. Bro, Z-Man, Zach, Zachary.
I know you only want to help.
Like hell! This ain't just about helping, Ashton! You're throwing yourself in the thick of it on your own!
Damn, Zach. He went from 0 to 100. He got angry. Zach, please. We already discussed this, and we've determined that you're not the right one to bring with us, okay? It has to be Rebecca. Don't take offense.
Was your fall last night really that bad? Did you hit your head hard? I honestly can't tell if you've gone stupid or just plain suicidal.
No, we're being strategic.
My head's okay, Zach. But it won't stay that way if we don't do anything about this. Someone has to.
Seriously, this is already a desperate move. The longer we dally, the faster we're losing our options. Do we even have one? Looking back at it, this whole business with the ghost seems perfectly set up to drive us into a corner. Either until we lose our mind, or she gets us. I'm starting to feel as if there isn't an escape. We've already become her playthings the second Isabella found that letter. That our lives are in her hands ticks me off big time. The idea of watching the people I care about die helplessly, more so. They're much safer here than with me. It's a selfish thought, I know, born out of fear. So, in case things go awry, the very last thing I want to happen is for Zach to take the fall with me. I've already made enough mistakes.
And that means it's just you.
Just me.
No, you have to bring Rebecca. Ash, no. Suddenly, he clams up. Okay, the only thing I will say, if he does end up going alone no matter what, like if we don't have a choice, I think they did this because all of our friends could have been dead right now, right? That Zach, Isabella, and Rebecca all could have died to the ghost already. So, all of this part in between is just like filler, just to fill in, you know, their conversation and blah blah blah. But in the end, it has to be him alone. That way it's just easier to explain, you know, so that it's more cohesive with the fact that there's a separate route where all his friends are dead and he has to go alone anyway. So I can see that that's why they're doing it this way, but I do kind of I don't know. I kind of disagree. It feels weird to have him going alone like this. It would have been cool if, like what we were saying, if we had the option to have one person come with us, and Rebecca would have made the most sense. But, well, I get it. I see why. Although his actions, the restless shift in his shoulders, his mouth pressing close in a tight line, and how he starts off again in a quiet note, it all gives away his real thoughts, long before 2 words have even made it out of his mouth.
I'm sure you already know about this. Maybe this is you trying to make amends, or whatever. I don't know. You're making your own decisions here. But if something happens to you, it'll be just that. You'll just be another dead body out there. Please, don't do something like this.
Oh,
Don't worry, I'm not stupid enough to get myself killed.
oof. Okay, and Sign is back, and she's ready to join. Alright, I will call you. Hold on. Hello. Welcome.
Nice. Thanks. Whoops. There was a bit of echo.
Okay, you able to see everything?
No, I saw that you had to make a choice and happened before and after.
Okay, so basically all you missed was that we could either be rude to him or be nice, and just either way, our choice really was not there. We were pretty much just telling him, no, you can't come with us.
Oh,
So it looks like Ash is going to be going alone, unfortunately.
oh, dang it.
Yeah. And I was just saying how I think the reason the game did that is so, like, because we know that there's a possibility if we get to this point in the game that the other 3 would have been dead.
Oh, yeah.
So it makes sense that they designed it so that no matter what, he has to go alone in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Which sucks. I
Yeah.
mean, we still think, him bringing Rebecca would have been the best, but oh well.
And one day I was watching past streams, and after the video finished, I got spoiled because of one of the thumbnails in someone made.
Oh, a thumbnail from YouTube?
Yep.
Oh, that sucks. I've been spoiled by thumbnails before too. I hate when people do that.
Yeah, same.
So it's for something that hasn't happened yet?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's on this path or another.
Ooh. Or maybe it's something that we can avoid depending on our choices?
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, that sucks. Is it something like bad that we want to avoid?
Yeah, it is, but I don't know if it's avoidable or not.
Ooh. Okay, well, fingers crossed we can avoid it, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
I just want things to go back to normal, Zach.
Another dead air follows at the heels of that one admission. So,
But,
I'll have you take over at the 1 hour mark, okay?
okay, but at least it wasn't anything to do with a ghost.
No.
Yeah.
The meaning of my words, too heavy, too striking, it stuns us into another lull. Optimism aside, we're both aware that it's impossible. We're going to have to deal with the trauma right after, There will be images, the voices whispering inside our heads, the foreboding feeling. The stench of blood, gore, and death trailing after us. We may survive this, but those things? They will remain in us for a long time. One does not survive something like this without it leaving something in you. Just the mere thought of what might come right after makes me dread it. What this has changed in all of us. But I suppose that outcome is more acceptable, the lesser of two evils.
3 hours.
My head snaps up, and I turn to him, puzzled. He's staring at his hands with a thoughtful expression, brows furrowed in deep concentration. Like he's trying to choose the right words to convey what he's about to say.
3 hours? For what?
That's more than enough time to go there, to check things, like you said, and travel back here. If you don't show up here beyond that, I'm going after you.
Aww. From his tone, it sounds almost like a warning. I'm sure it's not his intention. But hearing something like that from a person like Zack, I can't help but chuckle and throw in a jibe, despite how dire things are. Just like the old times.
Make that 4.
What? You said you're just gonna check things. Why would you even need that long?
Speed limit? I'm a ranked law enforcement officer, Zack. I'm supposed to set an example.
I so wanna punch you right now.
Do it. Of course, Zack never carries it out. In light moments like this, it's just how he is. How we are. Unfortunately, G chooses the next moment to show up. He slams the flat of his palm on the counter and shooting us both a stern look. Although his tone's nothing short of jovial, the disapproval's clear in it. He's obviously misunderstanding the situation.
Boys, drummer's nice and all. I used to watch these bloody god-awful afternoon serials with one of my brothers many, many years ago. But listen, I am not having one in my pub, all right? You two want to fight? Go out.
A pregnant pause. Then, without any preamble, Zack and I are both snickering and G's glower melts into confusion. When we both show no sign of stopping, he simply shakes his head and turns away. I'd like to think it's better this way. Better that we part on light terms, so Zack won't have to see every little insecurity, every little doubt in me right now. Aw, that looks cute.
Oh, adorable.
Zachary's arrival interrupted Ashton's conversation with G. Left alone, the two attempted to mend things between them, only for things to almost turn sour after Ashton revealed his plans to return to the mansion. His friends eventually acquiesced after Ashton agreed to a time limit. Oh, Sign, did you hear the line that he said earlier that I loved?
No.
Okay, let me find it so you can hear it. It made me laugh.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man. Zack. Zachary, listen.
It was just so random to hear him be like, bro, dude, Z-Man, Zack. Like, I was like, what? He's seen enough. The last thing I want him to glimpse is another display of weakness. Not when he still stares at me with the same unerring confidence in his eyes. When our mirth dies down, before anything can be said further, before I change my mind, I step away from them. Giving Zach's shoulder a quick few pats, mumbling a lame excuse about taking another short nap under my breath. Altogether bearing the stray thought that flashes fleetingly in my head. Zach has seen me at my lowest plenty of times. Why does all of it matter now? The sun hangs lower when I stumble back into consciousness and drag myself downstairs. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle into the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. Today, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. He has always complained about the lack of a decent crowd on week start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. No one wants to start the week with a bad case of a hangover, after all, even him. Which makes the concerned look he gives me come off a bit too odd. For the kind of danger we're in, this swiftly puts me on the edge, even before sleep completely fades from my mind.
Something wrong, G?
G hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in it, despite his casual and open movements. And only after he finishes wiping a tumbler and carefully settles it face down on the table does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. It feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you might want to check on your friends, kid. Looks like one of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Wait. Oh. I didn't know this was a Monday. Okay. Another question forms in my head, along with a small, confused frown. Are these guys fighting again? Come on.
Oh god.
Though before a single syllable slips past my mouth, Rebecca's irate voice rings out from some part of the main lounge. Dang it, Rebecca!
I knew it.
From the sound of it, it appears woke up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement.
Alone? You know we can't just go in there.
Ah, so now they're mad because he's going in alone?
But we don't have any other choice, Becca! There's really no other way. We have to go there. If you'll just... Isabella, no.
That doesn't sound too comforting. Dang it, ladies! Once Rebecca assumes that kind of tone in an argument with Isabella, it usually ends with one of them walking out or both giving the other the silent treatment. It lasts for about a week at most if it's really bad, which really isn't what we need right now. I've hoped the bad blood from this morning will simply blow over after all of us has gotten a decent rest. I should have expected things won't be the same with them as it is with Zach and I. Turns out sleep isn't just what some of us need. Even G appears to understand it. In spite of his efforts to look as unconcerned as possible, there's a tense set of his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes, as it occasionally flickers over where Rebecca and Isabella's voices are coming from. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I. Things have worked out well between them before without Zach or I meddling. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing. Go fix it before it blows up in your faces. I'd hate to throw two girls out of this place over a petty argument.
It's probably not as petty if Rebecca's already shouting like that, and I give him a nod nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of a sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. Can't remain still, always has to stay moving, doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after. Rebecca's voice rings out once again, followed by Isabella's. But part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even know. Once this is over, I should probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to this before it turns into a shitstorm both of them will regret. And I know both of them will. For all of Isabella's complaints about Rebecca's bossy attitude, or how annoying Rebecca sometimes finds the other's childlike demeanor, it's a friendship they both cherish in their own way. Oh boy, here we go again, round 2.
Yeah.
This is so unnecessary, girls, come on. Rebecca is already on her feet when I spot them in an almost deserted area of the pub. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's crossed. I can't speak for Isabella. I rarely ever see her seething, but from what I've heard, it can be very unpleasant. The way she's glaring up at the redhead from her seat, regardless of how much the other woman towers over her right now, already says everything. Empty plates have been left neatly piled on one corner of the table they occupy, a conversation that turns sour sometime after a late lunch then. Good thing they're already done and nothing's left to be spilled. Because in the next moment, before I can approach and intervene, Rebecca slams her palm on the table. It sends the silverware clinking sharply against the surface. Isabella flinches momentarily. We both do, though she shows no indication of surrendering in the face of Rebecca's temper. Everything escalates from there.
You've already gotten us in enough trouble because of this letter ghost everything. You're blaming me again. And you can't expect everyone to fix your mess. You keep on putting the blame on me, but you're the one who didn't listen. All of you. If you just listened in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you're too busy acting like you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you're the one who's being selfish.
Ooh.
I'm the one who's selfish. Yet you're still going to do what you want anyway, even if the people around you are already beside themselves with worry. This is how you've always acted since we met, and I'm tired of it. Sometimes I wish you never even came here, because all you've given us is a headache.
Oh no.
Oh God.
Rebecca, no.
You know why I had to come here. My dad. Your dad has nothing to do with this.
Oh.
Oof.
It has always been you and your whiny, careless self that has always been the problem.
Ooh, Rebecca, stop.
Ugh, I hate her so much right now.
Right? Ugh. Maybe I should have stepped in earlier. You think? Maybe I should have said something the moment Rebecca has slammed the flat of her hand on the table, or the second I've entered the area. Either way, it's too late to act. Harsh words have already been hurled between the two. When Ashton showed up at the pub's main lounge again, he caught Rebecca and Isabella in the middle of an argument. The latter insisted on going back to the mansion, which the former strongly opposed. However, before Ashton could step in, harsh words had already been said. Words more cutting than any blade, each and every one of it digging a wound too deep in the person they've been aimed at. Rebecca, her father just died. You are like the worst right now. I know she doesn't know, but still.
Even if she doesn't know, she shouldn't have said that.
Nope. For a long time, Isabella sits there in silence, while Rebecca stands unmoving, arms crossed and breathing heavy. Despite the lack of words between them, they're both vibrating with anger, refusing to meet the other's eyes. Ever so slowly, the atmosphere in the room turns thick and smothering. A strained air no one in the immediate vicinity, including me, dares to break, until the ones at its center does so. Rebecca definitely won't. At some point in our friendship, she has grown to become a woman firm with her opinions. She's never going to back down from this, not when she knows she has a point. Isabella, on the other hand, there has always been a certain stubbornness in her. As frustrating as it is to see sometimes, it's what has gotten her through life's hardships. Perhaps even the only thing that has. When you have nothing else, people tend to cling on to what they have within themselves instead. But she also knows when to withdraw, when a struggle turns useless. A kind of awareness, almost second nature to her. When enough is enough, Isabella abruptly stands and marches towards the exit, in fast, rigid steps away from the hurt and painful words they've left fly earlier. She bumps into me in her haste, the impact nearly knocking her off her feet. Instinct kicks in at the last moment, and I reach out for her, grabbing her arm in a steadying grip. Surprise flits across her face, an expression mirrored by Rebecca behind her. Neither of them had noticed me. However, that doesn't mean I won't have things to say about this. Oh!
No, take Isabella's side, because Rebecca needs to hear it.
Oh yeah, she needs to come to Jesus moment. Like, come on girl, you need to stop with this nonsense.
You okay?
Heh. Take that, Rebecca!
You witch.
Right? I don't even care that lowered their friendship. I don't care.
Me neither.
It's just gonna make her more jealous of Isabella, but whatever.
Yeah, she's a witch, either way.
Yep. Rather than answer, once her shock subsides, she merely averts her gaze and hastily wipes the tears off her cheeks, like she only noticed them in that moment. Then, without another word or even meeting my eyes again, she gently brushes away my hand and runs off, leaving an awkward hush in her wake. Rebecca soon slumps on the chair Isabella has just left, gingerly reaching up to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always drained both her patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. It's no excuse for her to say those things, though, and my disapproval must be clear enough on my face. When she finally glances back at me, her exhaustion immediately shifts back to annoyance, her mouth curving down to a tight frown. I crossed my arm in response, waiting, a reaction verging on instinctive in the face of her irritation. Regardless of my opinions about this, I don't say anything yet, not until she's the one willing to talk. Another minute passes while we stare each other down, but eventually she breathes out again and relaxes her rigid posture.
What do you want, Ash? If you have something to say, just tell me, or I'm going back upstairs.
Did you really have to say it like that?
Well, how do you want me to answer her? Do you want me to just let her go there and do what she wants? I know you won't be too happy if I did that.
That's a low blow, Rebecca. Even for you. We all know she wasn't even planning on staying here this long. There was no need to bring it up if all you wanted to do was stop her.
Did you even see how she's acting? She's not a child anymore. Even my students can do better.
Becca, she'll listen if you'll just ask her properly. I know you mean well and you do have a point, but please be a little more thoughtful next time. Go think about it for a while.
By some miracle, the whole discussion ends right there. Rebecca elects to stay silent, or at least it's how it seems when a minute or two passes and she says nothing. A rare occurrence when she almost always has something on her mind. Only an uneasy atmosphere hangs in the air when I finally decide to remove myself from the room. She doesn't stop me. Instead, something inexplicable flickers momentarily in her eyes, one that quickly disappears until only a vague notion of it remains in memory. But in that one exchange, I've caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted, of what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years. We will never be the same person, or people, we once were.
Yeah, people.
And if it's for the better, we've yet to know. Okay, Sign, how about you take over now?
Okay. A lull has descended in the main lounge once I return.
You see, I feel like the way that they edited this is weird, but I'm sure they're doing it like this because, you know, these people could have been dead.
Yeah.
So it's like, clearly this could have been just him coming down alone after being there, you know, sleeping.
Mhm. Yeah. G is nowhere to be seen. People continue to trickle out instead of in, and by the time I get back, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon, these people too will be gone, and the whole place will be devoid of anyone. Frankly, its current state already lends the place an entirely different vibe. Along with the from the steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. A far cry from the times I've been here before. And perhaps it's for this reason why Bella has chosen this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room, in one of the tables says right beside the windows. I thought she left the building.
Right?
Oh well. G usually keeps the curtains closed around this hour, but a small portion of it has been pulled back, revealing the busy streets outside. The late afternoon light spills right through it, outlining her small form and pulling on the surface of the table, where both her arms rest. This again.
Ugh.
The start of it all. In her hands, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it from one side to the other without any purpose. The letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it. Yet there's something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted. Something I can't bring myself to disturb, if only for a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. The rare ones. The ones where she's too still, too quiet, the complete opposite of her usual self. With these that often leave a mark. Not her cheery position or her lively attitude, but these short few seconds of wordless silence, when the softest sighs and the slightest movement sing louder. The smallest, minuscule things that tell you about the person and her strength more than any words can express. Is this that carve a vivid memory, no matter how brief it lasts? She glares at me, annoyed, and just like that, all of it melts away. Why is she glaring at him? Didn't he take her side or something?
Yeah, maybe she's just frustrated in general.
Yeah, it makes sense. Gone is the stillness, replaced quickly by the teasing and friendly jibes. Back again to what we're used to, what's easy, what's familiar, where every thought we hope to convey regrettably goes unsaid between us.
You're going to destroy an important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
But she is far from angry. A bit upset, maybe. Who wouldn't be? Well, I do agree with Rebecca. Her words still hit below the belt. Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she'll start shouting at me, at least compared to every other people I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk may just do the trick and cut her out of this mood.
Come on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She levels a quick glance at me, her expression dry and impassive enough to drain every color out of the room. It's as if I've just told her a terrible joke and she's expecting there be more of it. Really now. She needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny when I want them to be.
And I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
Yet it sounds half-hearted at best. Like what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her, and all that's left are the words. Pretty soon, those two will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything has already gone to crap. I'd like at least this one thing to stay normal. So somehow we manage. We continue for the better half of the hour. Talking, joking. We hear short, feeble responses and banter that never goes anywhere. It's enough. In the grand scheme of things, amidst the chaos and death shadowing over us, it's these little inconsequential moments that matter. It's her smile, her laughter, when it finally rings, easy and free of her burdens.
Okay, I have another one.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
A pause. And then she frowns as realization slowly dawns on her. Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually settling on agreement.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
Oh.
Yeah. Suddenly, she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away, perhaps in her best attempt to stay angry.
How could you stay
Oh.
angry with puns, huh?
She's blushing too.
Yeah.
To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake with laughter she's trying to contain.
Oh, they're cute.
Mhm.
You're awful and I really hate you. Just leave.
It's contagious, or mirth. Soon I'm joining her in it, briefly forgetting every problem that has piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without reservation or care, until one familiar warmth lingers, as both our amusement ebbs away. Welcome back, Twin.
Welcome back. You just missed another, you missed round 2 of Rebecca versus Isabella. So annoying that they do that.
Yeah. And I think Coco will be really annoyed when she sees the part as well.
Yeah.
Somehow with her, these things have always come easy.
Oh, and you missed like the best pun ever.
Yeah.
Where Ash is like, I know someone who talks like an owl. And then she's like, will you leave me alone if I ask who? And then she realized and she's like, ugh.
Feeling better?
A little. You're still lame.
But you're laughing right now.
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
Wow. Way to flirt with a girl
Wow.
by calling her ugly.
Wow. If glares can kill, with the one she sends my way, I'll probably be dead right now. Seeing it directed my way, it takes only a few quick seconds for me to realize how she might have also taken my statement. Whoops! How wrong and rude it might sound in her ears. However unintentional it is. Words. I've never been good with words, but that's never an acceptable excuse, isn't it? Suddenly, taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I try.
What? Crap. Damn it, that was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better
Awkward.
when you're smiling.
Her glare doesn't even wane. In fact, I think it intensified, like the brewing storm. In the face of it, Under the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any person with a good sense of self-preservation does.
He runs.
Or surrenders.
Oh, okay.
Keep my mouth shut and shift my attention elsewhere.
Okay.
Okay. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should.
Thanks, Ash.
Oh. She utters all of it in a voice too small, too quiet. But when I turn to her, only two words or gratitude resonate throughout the whole room. Not the soft clicking of silverware somewhere, not the last strains of music fading to silence above us. Instead, it's the meaning behind her gaze, and as she holds mine that lingers. Steady, unflinching, and open, in the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and expression softening into a tender smile. I didn't understand it then. How easy for her to wear her heart on her sleeve. How she never shies away from expressing herself, even among people she barely knows. How she can go throughout everything without losing herself. Now it's among the hundreds, the thousands that hang unspoken between us. Trivial little things with words still too big to put into words. Either because it's too early or because there's never really a proper time. For now, though, this will do. Until the moment itself dwindles. Until reality pulls us back in, reminding us of the things we've set aside in its favor.
Isabella, about what happened with Rebecca earlier.
I should probably apologize to Becca. I know she only means well. And I said some really bad things.
No, she said horrible
No.
things.
The corners of her mouth quirks up, almost as she's too ashamed of the things she said.
Don't worry, she can be pretty stubborn, but she'll listen. Especially to you.
You think?
And I...
Because Zach won't be with us anymore.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh.
What?
That was a bug.
Yeah, that's...
That was so loud too, and it was like right in my ear. And that's sad, because that's like, oh, that's the line I guess he says if Zach is dead.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say?
I wanted to say that I doubt Rebecca will apologize or something.
Yeah.
And do you want to read his line? Because that wasn't supposed to be said.
Yeah, that was weird. So, you're one of the few people she likes.
She won't stay angry for long. I can vouch for it.
What happened is that they stopped when they put the voice lines. They put the wrong voice line.
Yeah, they've done little oopsies here and there already, but this was like big time.
Yeah. She has a point though. Isabella freezes. In an instant, the pleasant air around us dissipates. She shifts her attention back to her hands again, both clenched so tightly that her knuckles visibly pale.
I know, Ash. I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have after all. But Rebecca also has a point I will always agree with. No matter how desperate I am, it's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there? If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'll be in even greater danger. Hence, alone. Exactly as I have told Zack. If there's a need to go back to that accursed place, I'm doing it on my own. Whenever or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. Their well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. So I'll tell her as much, despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. Anything to keep her safe.
Hmm.
Now this is
This is tough. I can't tell which one is nicer.
maybe it's dangerous.
Hmm.
If we mess up, we'll load.
Because I'm thinking if we say it's dangerous, does that make it sound like we're letting her come with us? Or I can't let you do that, it's just a nice way of saying no. Hmm. Maybe we'll see. We'll try dangerous then, like you said.
Yeah.
Forget it, Belle. You're not going back to that mansion.
Nope, she didn't
Oh.
like that.
Well,
And the way he
Mulligan,
said it was kind of rude, so.
Mulligan, reload. No, you're safe in the game of reloading.
Alright, we're cheating.
This time.
I can't
can
let you
let
do
you
that,
do.
Belle.
Yeah, because we don't want to ruin their relationship. And it was so unclear what they meant in those choices, so.
Yeah.
I mean, you even heard the difference in the music, too.
Mm-hmm.
Ash, the people living in that place now, they were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are.
I know, but it's risky. It's dangerous.
Trying to keep the ship afloat. I see.
We don't know what you might find in there. Or if you'll even find anything. What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do? For all we know, it might be a dead end. It's not worth it. To put yourself in harm's way like that.
And honestly, we've been pretty good about not going back on our choices because we've been doing okay. But, like,
Yeah.
if we had made a choice that ended up in getting Zack dead or Isabella dead, I would have no problem going back and undoing it.
Mm-hmm. She offers no response, not even a form of resistance. No further argument like I've come to expect from her. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin, till the air in the hollow room grows heavy. In front of her, her hand still stays curled up. Wait, still stays or still stay? I think it's another typo there.
Yep.
Still stay curled up, like it's holding on to everything she wishes to say but can. Maybe they wanted to say her hand.
One hand, yeah.
Yeah. I like to think that yes, to some extent she understands, even if she does not entirely agree with me. The dilemma's clear in her. At least it's not a nameless level of typos.
Oh yeah, nameless. Whew, yeah.
Otherwise, her scowl wouldn't have a deeper set to it. Her lips wouldn't be pressed in a thin line. Her hand would no longer be balled into a fist. She would push that argument if she doesn't, and I know she has no lack of things to say. Words. Instead, she simply offers a nod. An acquiescence. Sorry. Then, in a moment of boldness, or perhaps insolence, I reach out to her, taking her clenched fists in mine and drawing them closer to me.
Is everything okay?
What?
Oh, I thought I heard something weird in the background.
Oh no, my mom was yawning.
Oh, okay.
She sucks in a breath, soft and sharp, but doesn't say anything, merely watching as both my hands cradle hers. Cautious, mindful, as if it's the most precious thing I've held. Then again, maybe it is.
Aw, cute.
So adorable. Along with everything I've yet to convey.
Stop that.
Surprisingly, although the gesture has startled her, she yields, allows a touch that is far too familiar and more than what I'm willing to give most.
You're going to hurt yourself if you keep doing that.
Gently, I unfurl her fingers, flattening out each digit against my palms. Her nails have already created small dents in her skin, from how tightly she has held in close. A little more and she would have drawn blood. Deep as it is, smoothing a thumb over the tiny marks does nothing. But it's a small gesture we both find comfort in amidst this chaos, and all at once the tension leaps. Her expression softens, the lines of her shoulders ease, and it's only after her lips curve up a faint smile that I let go. Giving her hand one last squeeze before returning it to her. Part of me wants to tell her, admit that it's exactly what I'm planning tonight. What good will it do, though? I've already told Zack, one person is enough. Hell, simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening the circle and revealing too much would just cause another pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, at least, of where I'm heading off to. In case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. It's best I simply leave it as it is for now. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the worry my entire scheme entails. I stand up as soon as footsteps shuffle from the next room, its cadence slow and hesitant. Shortly, Rebecca comes into view, reaching her hands firmly in front of her and sporting the same uncertainty in her face.
Okay, ladies, now it's time to kiss and make up.
Yep. She casts me a cursory look, then shifts a nervous one to Isabella, who studies her with an almost hopeful gleam in her eyes. Their fights never did last long.
Belle, can we talk? Alone?
Her interruption could not have come sooner, and all the more glad for it. Whatever kind of friendship I share with the two, this remains something for only the two of them, much like my own with Zack. I'm the outsider. They don't need me here. Oh, it's all the reason I need. Muttering an excuse and flashing Isabella a quick, knowing smile, I beat a hasty exit out of the main lounge and leave them to mend things on their own. Before Isabella can say what she's been mulling over. After scolding Rebecca for her harsh tone, a concerned Ashton followed after Isabella. He found her alone in a corner of the lounge, upset. Despite agreeing with her, he gently explained why going back wouldn't be a good idea. Thankfully, she eventually acquiesced. That's a cute
Yes,
picture.
very cute.
Before the last imploring glance she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory, one that spurs the conscience, among other things. I wonder how Rebecca would have acted if Isabella got killed.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Galway shows Monday Night Crown. Although small and barely occupies a quarter of the whole pub, provides ample enough cover for anyone who wishes to leave the place unnoticed. Just exactly what I need tonight. With the lively music and chatter, sleeping out mostly unseen becomes a piece of cake. Without much travel, soon enough I find myself standing outside, under the chilly Luxembourg night. A gust of wind picks up shortly after I step out, carrying the telltale smell of an impending rain. I'll give it about an hour or two before it starts. Oh boy. From the looks of it, tonight will be another downpour. Maybe even stronger than the one we've had this morning. On instinct, I hunch further into my jacket. Hugging its thick material closer to my body while I weave my way through the lines of empty cars in the parking lot. The letter crinkles in my pocket with each step I take, though I pay it no mind as I hurry towards my car. Wait, he took the letter?
Yeah, I guess so.
I've nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings on my way out. If this is all connected, I need this damn piece of paper with me. However ridiculous it sounds, I'm quite sure it won't be missed either. But I can't waste time here and wait for her to find out, can I? 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. free if I'm inclined to go by the rules Z-Man set, but when have I ever? Regardless of how generous that is, each second is just as important as the next. So I hurry, one footstep over the other, echoing as I make a beeline for my car. But as with, with but as with every let me reread that again. But as with every plan, problems crop up the last second. Practically a universal rule. And it does. Uh-oh. In a form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Oh no. Oh, I thought it was the ghost.
No, I'm guessing they're giving him a chance to have last conversations with all of them before he goes.
Yep. Rebecca turns just as I near, the corners of her mouth twitching up in a wry smile. She offers no greetings except for a slight tilt of her head. Wait, wasn't she talking to Isabella?
Right? See, I think the editing of this was not very well done, but maybe some time passed. I don't know.
Yeah. Even as my pace slows and I look at her with all the unvoiced questions in my eyes, she remains wordless. Mere throwing her head back and shifting her attention up and at the starless sky when I come up to stand beside her. Another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a sigh, weary, thick with something close to resignation. The breeze carries all of it away while she hugs her arms closer to herself to keep warm. Which raises the question why she's out here. The air is already heavy with the promise of rain, with clouds obscuring the view. There's really nothing left to look at but a dark blanket of nothingness. Still, she stands here as if she's intentionally waiting for everything to fall. That or she is here for some other reason. But before I can voice a single word, express a disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, sharply cutting off the rest of my question.
I'm not here to stop you, wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight. I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will, in a moment. I just want to stay out here a bit for some air, away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice, even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places. Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, you take what you can get, right?
It'll be over soon.
The confidence in my own words surprises even me. How do I know? Why am I so sure? When in truth, what I'm about to do is a last-ditch effort. If it fails, if I don't find anything, we're back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off from. Regardless, It seems to amuse her, and her laughter soon sounds about the murmur of the distant traffic and the light drafts sweeping around us.
How I wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
I can try. But, you know, it also did a lot to us.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us. As people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us. To all of us. And it made me realize plenty of things. About myself. About us.
Character development.
Yes, finally.
Rebecca trails off. Suddenly, a pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before. And every time I see it on her, it's usually followed by a memory, a silly story, or even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who'll much rather forget, she remembers each of them so easily. And after a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know this is one of those times again.
Do you remember that one time back in secondary?
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then. Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. On the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but it's nothing like that. We're not friends. Not in this lifetime. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah? You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
She makes it sound like I'm some sort of a hero. Mandy was in the wrong. Of course, I'll defend her. If no one's going to stand up for her,
Oh, you got cut off.
dang it.
Just that last
She ma-
sentence.
I'll read the whole thing again.
Okay.
She makes it sound like I'm some sort of a hero. Mandy was in the wrong. Of course, I'll defend her. If no one's going to stand up for her, who else will? Chances are you would have escalated, and who knows, maybe she would have stopped going to school or transferred. Any decent human being with an ounce of sense should have known better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is what's right. It's as simple as that. Yet she smiles as if it's worth more than that. A fondness that goes beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is this time, I don't want this to go unsaid. You know, just in case something happens.
Aw.
Oh,
Ash, I've always been in love with you.
Oof.
we
Well,
know.
at least she finally told him, but I hope he nicely, gently rejects her.
Yep. She says it so plainly, holding my gaze and in a voice too frank that her admission stuns me into silence. Like the wind has suddenly been knocked out of me in one fell swoop. No words will form, not even a single coherent thought as the meaning of her words bear down on me. Nevertheless, she continues, desperate to express everything she has kept to herself all these years. This is what the funniest is. Why, for her, it weighs heavier than any feelings of nostalgia can carry.
Since that time in secondary? Since I made that promise to never leave,
Aw.
Oh.
I've always truly loved you.
Afterwards, there is a relief, a weight suddenly being lifted from her shoulders after so long. She closes her eyes and lets out a breath. When she looks back to me, though, there's nothing but hope in them. Eyes that are searching for an answer. Facing the sincerity behind her words, I find myself grasping, scrambling for the words. Because as much as this pains me to admit, I can't give her the same affection she is asking from me. We might have spent so many years alongside each other. Hell, we practically grew up together. But that never automatically means I'll ever hold for her feelings that goes beyond the boundaries of friendship. I do appreciate her presence in my life. More than glad that she has stuck with me even though the toughest moment. Even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it. She's a close, important friend to me, but nothing more.
Rebecca,
I draw in a breath, ragged, unsure. Uncertain how and which words to put together, so it'll hurt her less, so the wounds they might leave won't be as deep or scarred. Though before I can even string two phrases together, she lifts a hand to my mouth and silences me. A smile on her face, kinder than every single one I've seen from her so far.
Oh, she knows he doesn't see her that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad she got it off her chest and now she can move on.
Yep. It's nice to see it on her. It suits her more than the glares or the frowns. But at the same time, it only serves to baffle me.
You don't have to answer me.
Yeah, but you should. I should.
No, I mean, you don't need to.
Okay, now I'm really confused. One moment you're saying you've been in love with me since secondary, now you're telling me to shut up?
If you want to interpret it like that, all right.
No, really. Some explanation would be nice, Becca. Because a lot of things are going on right now, and I'm afraid I can't catch up. Especially with this curveball you just threw.
It means what it means, Ashton. You don't need to answer me. I don't really need to hear it anymore. It's not that I don't want to. Believe me, if I were the same person I was before this whole thing happened to us, I'd be elated, excited even. But like I said, I also realized some things. Understood myself more. Ash, I did love you. Ever since we were kids, all those times you defended me from bullies. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Even after this.
We got an
Got an
achievement.
Yeah, a change of heart.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, once you take a closer look at everything, it also turned me into a really selfish person.
Yes. Oh, I'm so
Finally.
proud of her.
Yeah.
When you think about it, maybe the Ashton I loved isn't the one standing in front of me right now.
What were you gonna say?
I was going to say that I take back any words I said about her.
I mean, she deserved. I mean, she was being horrible. So
Yeah.
I'm just glad that she's getting this development, even if it is last minute.
Yeah, kind of late. But hey, certain someone get the character development kind of late.
Yeah, you talking about Luke?
No, I'll DM it to you.
Oh, okay.
Maybe all this time, I'm still clinging on to that aloof kid I met 17 years ago. I didn't even consider that you have a mind of your own. That one day, it won't just be the two of us.
And DM'd it to you.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's true.
I didn't want to say it out loud because Coco might watch this.
Yeah, that's true.
That you'll find someone else then. And it won't be me.
I'm sorry, Becca.
Oh. I'm not even sure what I'm apologizing for. That I can return her feelings. For a second, I forgot I was the one reading. Or because I'm somehow holding myself responsible for this, even if up until now I have no idea how she felt. Regardless, she continues to smile through all of it.
It's not your fault. Don't say that. I'm the one who should apologize. Since I suddenly sprung this up on you when you have other things to do, I just thought I should let you know, so I can finally let this whole thing go. One question though. Are you going to tell her?
Tell what to who?
Ugh, Ash.
So dense. I pause, frowning. A brief moment of doubt while I try to figure out what she's talking about all of a sudden. When it finally sinks in, though, my bewilderment hastily gives way to utter embarrassment.
Oh.
Yeah, you been a bit obvious, Ash. Come on, man.
Oh my god, his face.
Love it.
Oh, shit.
It abruptly crawls up my face, no matter my efforts to keep it down. the end, I can only look away from her, afraid of what else she'll see in it.
Did you really think no one would notice?
Was it. Was it that obvious?
Yes.
Yes.
It was
From
surprisingly easy to tell, but that was probably because I've known you longer than anyone.
I
Fuck,
would
who
say
else knows?
I would have said from a mile away, but I'm from Europe, so I'll say from a kilometer away.
I think Zach suspects.
Okay.
Shit.
You're embarrassingly lame when you're trying too hard. It's almost painful to watch. Don't worry. With your terrible way of flirting, and knowing her, I'm quite sure Belle has no idea, even now. Not even a clue.
Two,
Oh my God.
two oblivious fools in love.
Yeah.
Harsh, Rebecca. Really harsh. I could use a vote of confidence, you know.
Rebecca's really an imp right now.
Yeah.
She loves loud, the kind that's free of any burden, ringing about the wind, slowly picking up as the storm clouds approach.
I'm so happy. Like, this is what we needed. We needed her to finally get it off her chest. And look, she looks so much happier now.
Yeah. Why didn't she do it earlier?
Right? Gosh.
Oh well. With it, however, the awkward atmosphere lifts at last. There's only the camaraderie we've shared since meeting in the classroom 17 years ago.
I'm serious though. Tell her. And if you ever make her cry, I'll hit you with every damn history book I have on my shelf. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Attack him with book foo.
Yes, the book 4 returns.
Noted, ma'am.
Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you'll be careful, alright?
She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she gives me a push, with her force only heavy enough to throw me off balance. Caught unawares by the jet for a few moments, I fight for purchase against my car's trunk, bracing my hand on its smooth surface. When I look up with a string of reprimands ready at the tip of my tongue, Rebecca's already halfway through the parking lot. Who knew Luke could have a positive influence? Okay, I cannot. Ashton left for the mansion at nightfall, but when he got to his car, he found Rebecca waiting for him. Wait, what?
Fearing.
What is that? Fearing she might not have the chance, Rebecca confessed her feelings. But before he could answer, Rebecca stopped him, admitted she has been selfish and she was letting him go. She only wanted him to know.
Aww.
And yes, that is surprising that Luke has a positive influence.
Yep.
There's a small skip in her steps, while the breeze carries the light tone she's whistling. On a whim, I let its notes be the last thing I commit to memory before slipping inside my car and driving off. It sounds like a new beginning more than anything. Another reason to be optimistic. Within 10 minutes, I'm driving out of Luxborn and heading straight for Anselm Village.
Ooh, that was a lot of buildup.
Yeah.
A lot of closures and heart sharing and everything we needed to
In
happen.
heart to heart.
Yep.
In the distance, flashes of lightning light up the horizon, white and sharp against the black curtain of the night. Thunder threatens with a rumble seconds later, echoing long across the sky. They love it? Huh. And with one last roar, the skies open in earnest.
Oh, I guess it's technically already past Halloween now.
Yes, November. The first time we hit November. The rain falling fast, steady sheet, creating shallow puddles on the dirt path, drenching everything the eyes can reach. That is relaxing sound.
Now this
If
looks
I had
creepy as hell, so of course this is where everything has to happen in the dark and it has to rain.
be right back for a bit. I
Okay.
need some water.
Sure.
Already past my birthday month.
Looks very spooky. But we are almost about to end the stream, so I'm glad that we got through all of that closure stuff and all the talk heavy stuff today, so that next stream maybe we'll be finishing his chapter and whatever's gonna happen inside the mansion. You know, all the action and the spooky stuff will be for next time then. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this all goes down, and hopefully we'll wrap things up nice and tidy, and then we'll go into Luke's chapter and see what's been going on with this dude. Oh, we're not ending
Yeah, I'm
yet,
back.
Twin. Oh, welcome back. We'll be ending in a few minutes.
Okay. Good thing I had water nearby.
Okay.
Some water. Despite having grown up in this city, I still despise the rain. Living here doesn't mean I have to like it. Lucky me, I've reached the mansion before the downpour has turned torrential. Sorry. The long slog from Anscombe village by foot has already been made difficult by the light drizzle and biting winds buffeting against my body every few seconds. By the time I found cover under the trees lying in the vicinity of the mansion, my shoulders are already drenched. Poor guy.
Mm-hmm.
My hair is also sticking against my skin and out in every possible direction. Thankfully, the letter, taser, and gun I've brought with me has remained relatively dry. That's the most important thing.
Ooh, he has a taser. Nice.
Nice.
And his gun, of course.
Mm-hmm. I hope it has all the bullets.
Right?
However, those are the least of my problems at the moment. Sometime after the housewarming party, scumbag, right, has suddenly grown a brain and tightened the security around the mansion. Oh boy! A guard is now stationed in every possible point of entry. The main entryway, the back door leading into the kitchen. Looks like someone rose their competence level. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, it's almost a miracle no one has spotted me once I entered the property. Although that's probably because I've kept close to the forest. Why I can always create a clever way in for myself under this deluge. It'll be difficult to do so without making much noise or leaving tracks.
I don't really have the luxury either, do I?
Nope. Considering how off this place feels since I've stepped in the property and the mansion came into view. Every light is off. Even with the security personnel on patrol outside, the hall itself, it feels empty, eerie, too quiet. Normally, I'll pass it over some kind of a power outage because of the storm. It's not a far off conclusion when this place is almost in the middle of nowhere.
Alright, I think we'll leave it here because I'm concerned if we keep going, some juicy stuff will start happening.
Yeah.
Alright, well, thank you guys for joining me. Next week, we're gonna do this, and it looks like it's gonna be the juicy final battle. Maybe we'll confront Luke, or maybe the ghost, or both.
Yeah. Maybe we'll finish Ashton's chapter.
Yeah, I think we will. It feels like it. And I wonder how we're gonna leave it because it's not the end of the game. You know, we still have Luke right after him. So it should be interesting. But thanks for coming out and watching, and have a great rest of your time zone.
Bye bye.